let me tell you about the most common homeopathic remedy for menopause, and I think you'll get the picture. Let me describe a woman who needs sepia. She's overworked, overburdened, over-responsible. She's got too much to do. She's working, she has kids. Or maybe she's teaching a class and she's got too many kids in the classroom. Or she's a nurse and on a ward that's completely understaffed and she's just running from one room to the other and the patients keep hitting the call button and she cannot keep up with the demands. Or she has a very demanding job. She's working more than 40 hours a week and she comes home and the kids are hungry and she has to take care of the kids and she feels like, I do not get one moment to myself. This is the remedy for women who feel like all I do is take care of other people and I never get a moment to myself. I never get a vacation. If I ever try to take a vacation, when I come back, then everything is piled up so it's worse than before I left, so I don't really get any time off. So then, how does she express this? She feels like she's exhausted. Even when she goes on a vacation, she comes back, she doesn't really restore her energy. She feels like she's at the end of her rope. She gets snappish, typically with the people that she loves the most, with her partner, her spouse, and her kids, her family. She doesn't usually get snappish at work. She knows enough to hold it until she gets home. But when she gets home, she may be very irritable. She also might be really weepy. So this can be used not only in menopause, but also for PMS. For a woman who, when she feels hormonal, a lot of women will say this to me, they just feel hormonal. They feel like they're at the end of their rope, and they have like this hair trigger emotion. So they get angry easily, they get weepy easily. Then there are physical things that go with it. Some women who need sepia might get a lower backache, for example. They also might have, there's a lot of feeling of kind of stagnation and sluggishness. And here are some of the ways that might show up. She might feel very tired, but when she goes out and exercises, she does aerobics, or she goes running, she gets her blood going, she actually feels better. She feels less tired if she goes out and does some exercise. There may be a little bit of a stagnation and a weakness in the circulation, which shows up as varicose veins, because the elastic fiber in the walls of the veins might get a little bit loose, a little bit lax, so you get varicose veins in the legs, and or you might get hemorrhoids, which are simply varicose veins of the anus. So this feeling of like they're like a little saggy. Sometimes women feel like their breasts are sagging. That's a very typical thing for sepia also. It's a remedy used at different hormonal times. It can be used for when a girl first gets her period, but more often for older women because it has this quality of exhaustion and just too much. It can be used when a woman is pregnant. It's one of our best remedies for morning sickness. When a woman gets sick, just thinking about food or smelling food or having to cook for her family, very typical morning sickness remedy. It's our biggest remedy for postpartum depression, which again is part of this exhaustion and hormonal flux, and there's this weepiness and this feeling like, oh my God, I should be like the happiest person at this moment. Why am I crying? But it especially happens if the newborn is keeping her up all night and she doesn't really get enough sleep and she just gets into this totally exhausted state. She thinks like, how am I going to live through this? So she gets exhausted, tired, cranky, irritable. So we have pregnancy, postpartum, PMS, and menstrual cramps. Another very typical thing with this remedy is a feeling, it's called a dragging down sensation. It's a feeling like the uterus is just sliding down and might actually kind of slide on out. And sometimes you see women who need this remedy keeping their legs crossed because they feel like everything's sliding out with this feeling of kind of laxness and looseness, which again showed up in the varicose veins and the hemorrhoids. Postpartum hemorrhoids, this would be a very typical remedy. And then she gets older, she's going through perimenopause and menopause, very common remedy. It can be used for hot flashes in a woman who has this whole picture. So you get women who are career women and they're working really long hours. I see women who are lawyers or women who are working in high tech, working much more than 40 hours a week. And now you have women kind of heading into perimenopause and menopause who have small children. That's a really tough combination, you know, with women having children later. So you get them trying to follow toddlers around as they're getting older. So this feeling of kind of this